What's up guys, Brad here from Piney Grove, and we use Stihl products a lot out here on our property. They're very reliable, and both of these units here are around 20 years old. But as you keep something that long, they need maintenance over time, and both of these need their recoil pull cord to be replaced, and also their priming bulb on the carburetor. Notice the other day as I pulled this up to start it that this cord was frayed, and you can see it's frayed in a couple places. It's also frayed down here. So this is wrapped around a spool here with a spring. So we're going to take this cover off right here and show you how to replace this cord. I'm going to show how to replace it on the leaf blower here, but it's the exact same process on the string trimmer. Most all Stihl covers are held by a Torx bit, so we're going to be using a T27 bit to take out the screws that hold on this cover. And just an interesting fact, this isn't the original cover. This is a cover that I bought off of eBay because the first one, the recoil start, got broken and it wasn't repairable. And I got this one for this same model of blower, and it doesn't fit exactly right. You can see the cowlings and stuff don't fit, but it's been working for 4 or 5 years. So this whole assembly will come off in one piece, and you have your flywheel and your electrical components there. Just to show you how this works, when you pull this cord, that actually engages with your flywheel and turns it, and then when you let go of the cord, you see that retracts. But you don't have to take this apart. You've just got to pull it out all the way and hold it in that position, and then thread your new line in. Once you've pulled that line all the way out, you got to get out the old knot. Take a pair of needle nose pliers and pull that old knot out of that space. And now you've got the old line free. Now what you don't want to do is once you cut this line or whatever you do with it, you don't want to let this freewheel. So now that we've got that where it's easily accessible, we're going to go ahead and let it spin back on itself. Let that sit there like that, and then we're going to prep the new line. So when I went to my Stihl dealer, they didn't have actual Stihl replacement line. They had aftermarket. It's the same white cord with red marking. So maybe it is the line that goes on Stihl, and it's just that Stihl doesn't make their own line. But the parts technician told me 3 feet is what most of these machines are. I just measured out the old one. The old one's probably a little bit longer at probably 3 foot 4 inches, but I only bought 6 feet for 2 machines. So that's what we're going with. So I'm going to cut it to 3 feet, put a little knot on one end. Once I cut that old knot off, I've got to thread this line through right away. All right, I think I'm ready. I'm actually going to put the handle on the new line first. So to pop the center out of the old handle, you got a little space there. Just stick a knife in, and then there's a knot in here and a little keeper. So I'll take that and transfer that over to the new line and just tie a big knot so this won't go in there. You can see there's a spring in there as well. So again, the last thing I want to do is cut this off and let that free spin back into that spool. Save that assembly. Now I'm just going to tie just a big knot that won't go through that pull start hole. Something that'll jam it up like that. Now I'll take my new line, put it right through there. I had to go off camera and find a torch and melt that so it would go down through there, and then it made a big glob of that melted plastic or nylon, and I had to grind it. Looks like it's going. I'll pull out the insert and show you. So we're just pushing that through there. It's looking like it's going. There's a spring in there. There's also a washer on this little plastic piece insert. We've got that started. Pull that knot into the pull handle, and that spring just gives you a little give at the end of your pull so that it doesn't just jerk it and break the line. I went ahead and burnt that nylon on the end just so it would sit in there better, and then find the correct way. This has a little spike on it. It's like it goes right there. All right, so the handle's put back together. And now I just have to thread that through once I pull this old line out. Now this would go much better with 2 people, but I don't have 2 people. Once I pull this line tight, I'm gonna hold it right there. Then I'll cut off this knot that's there already. And this is the point of no return. If you get that knot out and you pull this string out, you're pretty well committed. So now you got to hold it for dear life. Get it through the pull start hole, and hopefully I can thread that in there. All right, it's coming out through that little port, and I'll show this to you once I get it in there. Now I can let this wind and then tie the knot. Okay, that pulled the handle in. And now I can tie the knot separately. A simple knot will do. You don't need anything fancy. Just enough to keep that line from going through that hole again. And now when I pull the cord, that'll pull right back in there. With it all put back together, it works just like it did before. We got new string or new line, and everything works like it should. While this is off, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the primer bulb on the carburetor. If you ever wondered what that little plastic thing was on your Stihl machines, and also many other manufacturers as well, that's your primer bulb. But that brings gas into the carburetor and makes it easier to start the first time. We'll go ahead and take this air cleaner cover off as well. That's held on with 4 Phillips screws, so we'll just take them out and put in our new primer bulb. Any guesses on how many times I will drop and lose these screws? Because I think that will slow us down more than anything. All 4 screws are off. This should just lift right up, and it does. And there's our primer bulb. Here it is next to the new one. You can see the old one's discolored by the fuel. And occasionally these will crack, and this one might have a crack in it. This machine doesn't want to start right away, so I think this might be the issue. The other issue might be that it's 20 years old. And I don't know that I've ever changed a carburetor on this. A lot of times people will throw these out because they're not running good and they don't want to spend the money at the dealership. Easiest thing to do is just go buy a new carburetor. I believe most of these are Zuma, Z-U-M-A carburetors. Get them off of eBay cheap, like $19 or $12. They're not expensive at all. Once I get it tightened, I'll show you how the gas comes in there. I've got all the screws started. I'll just tighten them up. I'll snug them up. And as they start to tighten up, I'll just go in a pattern. Do these 2 across from each other, these across from each other. Put more and more tension on them until they're all equally tight. That way I don't warp that little plate there. May not be that important for this little carburetor, but it's just kind of a good practice not to tighten up one and all the way and then tighten the rest. All right, I should be able to pump that with my thumb and get fuel to come into it. There it goes. Couple pumps. Fuel comes in. See, nice clear fuel. And now it's primed. Now we'll put the recoil cover back on, put the screws back in, and then tighten them with the T27. I haven't really done anything to make this run better. It might not have been priming properly, and that bulb was discolored, so that's why I changed that out. We'll see if she'll start up. Not bad for a 20-year-old blower. As much as I love new equipment, it gives me a sense of self-satisfaction when I can repair something and keep it running longer rather than sending it to the landfill. And probably get 10 more years, probably end up getting 30 years out of that tool investment. Till the next one, y'all take care out there, and remember, life's short, tractor hard.